Greetings! In this video, we're going to look at examples of graphic organizers and how they can be used in your lesson plans. So let's begin with a graphic organizer that's pretty classic, a sequence chart. A sequence chart helps students focus on the order of events and details in a story. Students can complete a sequence chart while reading a story or shortly after reading a story. A sequence chart can also be used while students are listening to a passage, and they can write the details in order on the sequence chart of what they hear. So how can you use this in a lesson plan? Students can use this during the practice stage of the lesson plan to focus on the details and the order of details, and then they can use that sequence chart to write a summary during the production stage. So let's look at the next organizer. It's called a hand organizer. A hand organizer has questions, W questions, on each finger of the hand. The organizer can help students comprehend the details of the story. So while students are reading or listening to a passage, they can fill out a few words or sentences for each of the W questions. So how can this be used in your lesson plan? This can be used during the practice stage of your lesson plan to focus on the details. Generally, W questions are good intensive reading or listening activities because they focus on the details. Now let's look at a graphic organizer called a word map. This map helps students develop vocabulary and specifically develop morphological, syntactic, and semantic awareness. As you see from the example, the key vocabulary word is written in the center. And then there's a bubble devoted to synonyms, another bubble to the antonyms, another bubble to the part of speech, another bubble to the definition, and another bubble for writing a sentence with that word. And finally, there's a last bubble where students can write other forms of the word, idioms, collocations, or even create a drawing of the word. So how can you use this in your lesson plans? This can be used during the practice stage of your lesson plan when students are reading a story that contains new vocabulary. Generally, focusing on vocabulary is an intensive reading or listening activity. So the next organizer is called the KWL chart. There are 3 columns. The first column, What I Know, helps students develop an interest in the topic and helps them generate background knowledge about the topic. The second column, What I Want to Know, helps them develop a greater interest in the topic, and students can be assigned a specific aspect of the topic that they can research and that they're interested in. And that leads to the last column, which is What I Learned. Students here can report on and reflect on what they learned. So how can this be used in your lesson plan? The first 2 columns, What I Know and What I Want to Know, can be used during the warm-up or introduction stage of your lesson plan. And the last column, What I Learned, can be used during the production or review stage of your lesson plan. The last graphic organizer we'll look at is the web diagram. The web diagram can be used for various topics in different ways. One way to use it is as a story map to lay out the basic elements of the story. So this helps students comprehend the story and to identify the basic elements in the story. It helps students focus on a combination of main ideas and details. So how can this be used in your lesson plan? This can be used during the practice stage of your lesson plan to identify the basic elements of the story, and it can especially be completed after reading or listening to a story. Then students can use that web diagram to write a summary of the story during the production stage of the lesson plan. So in this video, we looked at 5 examples of graphic organizers and how they can be used in your lesson plans. If you're interested in other graphic organizers, try searching online for a circle diagram, a story pyramid, or a concept wheel. I hope you can use graphic organizers in your classroom sometime soon. Thanks so much for your attention.